This week's Manchild Talk is sponsored by donuts. Grab them in the nearest donut shop near you. Did you guys know I have a donut every single day? And when I don't, I get very grumpy. Anyway, let's get started on Manchild Talk number 9. This is a new kind of talk that I'm doing. I'm trying this out. It's gonna be a restaurant walkthrough, pretty much. I'm gonna tell you what I ate, where I went, who I went with, when I went, and my overall rating. And if there's anything else to talk about in that specific city, I'll probably talk about it. So for this specific episode, I'm actually gonna post on Instagram where I ate, and you can see all the food pictures, and I'm gonna talk about it on here. So I'll link each other so you guys can see what I'm talking about. A little bit of visual aspect. So you don't have to stare at a screen that says Manchild Talk in all black. Anyway, I'm gonna be using the 5 W's and 1 H. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's supposed to be the gold standard for talking about something. So let's try it out. This place that I went to is called Dobutsu. Dobutsu. And looking at their website, they pronounce it as Dobutsu. It is a new casual Pacific fare restaurant in downtown Buffalo, New York. They specialize in the cuisine of American and Asian Pacific region, and they pretty much do their interpretation of Japanese street food. That's what I learned. That was a combination of what they described themselves as and what I thought it was. For me, it was really just Japanese food. So how? I actually was flying into Buffalo, and my lady and her friend Jordan, shout out to Jordan, thank you for driving. They were picking me up, and we haven't been to Niagara in a while, so we decided to go to Niagara. So we saw Niagara, and coming back, we decided to eat in Buffalo. So I looked up a couple of places, and to me, their menu seemed very interesting. Though when I look for restaurants, I usually go on either Yelp or I'll search on Google, must eat certain city, or I'll try to look on Michelin restaurants. But this one, Dobutsu, I found through, I think just on Google. I was doing a search, and it came up, and it looked innovative, and it looked experimental, which I love. So it was a random visit as I was leaving Niagara, Buffalo. So what is Dobutsu? And it's in Buffalo, downtown Buffalo, right in the center of it. It's really hard to miss. It's right there. And I went there a couple weeks ago, earlier January. It was very cold, and it was actually kind of full as far as the restaurant goes. It was very packed as we were sitting there. So let's talk about the entire experience itself. So I make a reservation for 7:30, and I get there at about 7:20, a little bit past 7:20. And I walk in there and I say, hey, we have a restaurant for 7:30. And then one thing I thought was odd was the server and the front person started to kind of argue, and they were trying to make it seem like they weren't arguing about us, but it was obvious that they were arguing about us. And I think the manager ended up saying, just seat them, just seat them. We were 10 minutes early on a reservation, and it was kind of an issue, but anyway. So we get seated on this long communal table, which I actually like, because that's pretty true to Japanese style. You'll find when you go to Asian restaurants, quotation mark Pacific cuisine spots in Pacific countries, you'll find more communal tables that you pretty much sit next to a stranger and you're eating. I enjoyed that. There was nothing bad about that. And looking at the menu, certain things popped out to me. And what we ended up ordering was the steamed bun, which came out as fried shrimp and I believe it was sour cream fried shrimp steamed bun, and we got the Robata grilled pork riblets, and for the main we got the Tomahawk pork tonkatsu, and we also got the special, which isn't on the menu. It was the lobster ramen bowl. So it was for 3 people, and I figured, what is that? Two mains, 2 appetizers. That seemed enough for 3 people when I was ordering it. Looking at the prices. So looking at the prices, steamed bun uh, I think it was $3 each, and we ended up getting 3. Pork riblets is a $12 for I think like 6 pieces. And the Tomahawk pork tonkatsu is $29 for this huge pork tonkatsu, which I thought was reasonable. And I think it ended up being like $20 for the lobster roll. Though all in all, it came out as like, we also got dessert, which I'm gonna talk about. Dessert was grapefruit orange pavlova, which came out to like $15. So I think the total, all in all, was $100, which I'll talk about later in the complete review. So let's start going through what we got. Steamed bun. It was, like I said, fried shrimp steamed bun, and it to me it seemed like they made their own bao. Right, steamed bun is basically a bao. And it was the bao where you stick the main protein in and it folds. It's one of those baos, not the bao that you fold at the top. I actually thought the steamed bun was bad. It was. I'm not saying it was not good. I'm saying it was bad. The texture of the bao was off. I'm pretty sure they made it in house. It was weirdly chewy, and it was just not a regular bao. And I thought the shrimp was not fried well, and I thought the flavor profile of all those things together was just not good. I thought it was honestly a waste of money, and I don't want to sit here and hate on the restaurant, but I thought it just wasn't that good. Moving on, Robata grilled pork riblets, right? So they describe it as night market style preserved plum glaze. And they're very like small pork riblets, or by the name riblets. I ended up eating 2 of them. I think there were 6 total. I actually thought it wasn't good. The riblet itself was cooked fine, but the plum glaze was really weak, so it wasn't sweet enough, and the entire flavor wasn't impressive, and it just wasn't that good. I'm not saying it was bad. It just wasn't that good. I The way they were describing it, preserved plum glaze, robata grilled, night market style, right? It seems interesting, so I ordered it. But once I had it, it was just kind of mediocre. It was a little bit sweet, but like I barely tasted the plum, and the riblet. The meat itself didn't have any flavor. So all I tasted was like sweet meat. I thought it was disappointing. Moving on, the Tomahawk pork tonkatsu. So it was a crispy fried bone-in chop, shaved cabbage, and katsu sauce on the side. I actually thought this was really, really, really good. I love tonkatsu. It's one of my favorite ways to eat pork, fry them. But the meat actually was kind of vinegary, which I loved. So the outside, the fried side was fried perfectly, I thought. And the meat was cooked very well. It was tender and juicy. And there was a slight vinegar flavor to it. So I think they let it sit in vinegar maybe a couple hours or overnight. And then they fried it. And it was really good. I love the bone-in chop. I love the look. I love the flavor. It was very simple dish that was good. It just impressed me. And moving on to the ramen, it was the lobster ramen. The lobster was good. I would say overall it felt a little bit underseasoned, especially the meat itself. And I thought the soup base was kind of weak. I know it's a seafood soup base, so they probably used the lobster to use the water that they used for the lobster. But it just overall was weak. The noodles were not bouncy. It wasn't crispy like a ramen should be. The soup base wasn't heavy. It was too light in a way that's not refreshing. It was just I felt like it was just not. It should have broiled maybe for another hour or two. It was just kind of weak. And the dessert was the grapefruit. Let me actually look at the dessert menu so I can tell you guys exactly what it was. Even before talking about it, it was really good. It was pavlova, crunchy based meringue. That's what a pavlova is. Citron curd and sweet citrus. That was really, really good. I love pavlovas. I love well-made pavlovas. I've tried to make pavlovas before, and I failed. And so I understand how hard making pavlovas are. And I thought the curd with all the toppings on top with the pavlova was really, really, really good. I thought the dessert was the best part. So talking about all of these things, overall, I would give it 3.5 out of 5, maybe even a 3, just because of the price point. And both apps kind of fell through. It just wasn't that good. I honestly wish I got a main instead, because our main was fine. I thought the ramen was kind of mediocre. I thought the Tomahawk Tonkatsu was really good. I thought it was worth the visit. But the pavlova was the best part. I don't know who's cooking pastries back there, but he's killing it. He or she is killing it. So I would give it 3.5, maybe a 3. I would not visit there again, personally. I hate giving bad reviews because it makes it seem like I'm this bitter old loser who just talks shit about restaurants. But I respect all chefs. I respect all restaurants. It's just my opinion. So if the chefs at Dobutsu hears this, I apologize, but it's just my opinion, right? It's just a random person on YouTube and Instagram talking about it. So no harm done. Anyway, if you're ever in Buffalo, personally, I wouldn't go here. But I think it's a pretty cool experience. You get to sit on a communal table and you get to eat Japanese inspired cuisine. And I emphasize Japanese inspired cuisine. It's an interpretation of Japanese food by American cuisine chefs and American cuisine people. Anyway, if you're in Buffalo, maybe you could visit it. The tonkatsu was impressive and pavlova was good. And even though the ramen lacked a little bit of flavor, the lobster itself was okay. And if you're in the area, I would for sure visit Public Espresso. They make great donuts, especially the cruller. I heard the cruller is really, really good. I've never had it, but it looks really amazing. It looks like Daily Provision in New York City's cruller, which was crunchy and perfect. So that kind of sums it up for the restaurant talk. I don't want to make this a long one. Keep this short. Just talk about one restaurant and maybe a follow up like I just did. Again, this was a review was Dobutsu Buffalo, and I would give it 3.5 to 3 out of 5. And if you are guys in the area, I would definitely suggest visiting Public Espresso as well. But overall, even though I gave it kind of a lower rating, I would recommend it to someone who's never had Japanese cuisine. If you've had Japanese cuisine, definitely wouldn't go here because you'd be disappointed because this is Japanese inspired fusion food. That's how I would describe it. So that's it for Dobutsu Buffalo. Thank you guys for listening. And like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you thought.